Jimmy Garoppolo is now 41-19, including the playoffs, as a starter for the 49ers. That's a very interesting stat because that's Steve Young's exact win-loss record at this point in his career with the 49ers, which is mind-blowing. And it's actually better than Joe Montana's win-loss record. He was 37-22. What do you make of this highly surprising statistic?
I'm honestly not that surprised. I mean, there's a lot that goes involved with this. But first of all, if people out there comparing Jimmy Garoppolo to Steve Young and Joe Montana, please just freaking stop. Like, for one, it's completely different eras. Like, let's understand that. First of all, it's completely different eras. This is an era where quarterbacks could get ripped like a freaking running back in the backfield. Like, they could just get power drive to the ground. So that's one thing that you got to understand. Then all these receiving rules, like it was a much more handsy. We are in an era where passing is they want you to pass in the NFL. Everything's catered to that direction, right?
Mm-hmm.
Joe Montana won 4 Super Bowls. Steve Young won a Super Bowl. These are multiple Pro Bowls, Hall of Fame quarterbacks. We should not be comparing these guys. Jimmy Garoppolo has had an offense that has been catered to his strengths, which is the short pass. He's had an amazing defense every single year he's been with the 49ers. And he's always had a good running game up until this year. They're not the greatest running game this year, but up until this year, he's always had a solid running game, one of the best rosters. What you're seeing is Jimmy Garoppolo is a serviceable game manager when he's not turning the ball over, and he's managing a really good team that wins ball games. That's all this is.
I mean, he gets credit for his record. It's something that he should be proud of. It's just I feel like it's this stats going around, and the question is, does this make you reassess Jimmy? And I would say no. Let's put this in context. So Joe Montana at this point in his career was 37-22. He also had a Super Bowl victory. Joe Montana won the Super Bowl in his 27th career start. So let's not compare them. Then you got Steve Young. Okay, he was 41-19, just like Jimmy at this point in his career. He also, Steve, won the MVP in his first season as a starter. So the reason he didn't get over the hump his first couple years is because he had to face the Dallas Cowboys 3 years in a row in the NFC Championship. He finally beat them. But the Dallas Cowboys in the early 90s were one of the, if not the greatest football team of all time. They were one of the greatest football teams ever. A team with no weaknesses. Like Troy Aikman wasn't even the best. They were so loaded at every freaking position. And it wasn't that Steve Young had to like figure it out and get a little bit. The Niners had to improve. They had to put more around him to compete with an absolute juggernaut of the pre-salary cap era. It's not like Jimmy, who has done nothing in the playoffs, and the Niners are like, hey, man, maybe if you could like do a little bit of something, we might win. It's a little bit different. Also, 41-19. Jake Plummer was 40-18 as the starting quarterback of the Denver Broncos. I'm sure most people didn't know that. Like that was a cool 20 years ago. Yeah. And why doesn't anyone remember that? Because who cares? What was Jake Plummer's biggest win with the Broncos? He didn't have one. He never had one. He went to the playoffs 3 times, never did anything, got replaced. Even though he was 40-18. He had a 13-3 season. And my question to you is, 41-19. Of those 41 wins, what's the biggest one for Jimmy? Biggest one. First one that comes to your mind. Should be a quick answer.
Saints regular season game.
Saints regular season game. Okay. Yeah. And then if not that, it's what?
Cardinals last week. I don't know.
Cardinals last week. I mean, week 18 against the Rams last year. It's hard to even say 41 wins, and you can't just be like, oh, yeah, that one. That signature win. But if I asked you of those 19 losses, which one pops out in your mind?
Super Bowl, the NFC championships, like the playoffs in general. Yeah.
That's why I can't be like, well, this record here proves that he's actually appreciated and should be kept around, or like, nah, man, he got benched, he got his salary cut. There's a reason, and teams aren't all of a sudden being like, did you see his win-loss record? I had no idea. Let's completely rethink what we know. Like, nah, no, I don't think so.
What they could have done is easily just take down on that comparison, take down the Joe Montana pitcher, take down the Steve Young pitcher, take down the Jimmy G pitcher, and just show the teams, because it's a team record. And what that stat shows you is how the teams were able to perform during those time frames.
I understand he's the quarterback and quarterbacks get the win-loss record, but come on. Of all the quarterbacks, first of all, it's a team stat. But of all the quarterbacks, it's like giving Kevon Looney a win-loss record. Like, yeah, he sets the screens and he's a really good role player, but come on. Are we talking about Kevon Looney's win-loss record? So that's the way I look at it. It's like, yeah, Jimmy's win-loss record? Yeah, sure. It's nice, but it's not going to get him if he doesn't do anything in the playoffs, it's not going to get him a big contract next year because he's won a bunch of regular season games that people can't remember.
The biggest comp for Jimmy Garoppolo out of 49ers quarterbacks would maybe be like Alex Smith. Not even Jeff Garcia. But if you want to compare Alex Smith and Jimmy, that's a debatable conversation. But leave Steve Young and Joe Montana's name out of your mouth when you're comparing Jimmy Garoppolo, please, for the love of God.
I would like to see Jimmy, in this with another coach. I would. Because a lot of people think that Jimmy's going to fall apart. And, he might, because he won't have the weapons anymore. But he won't have Kyle in his ear. What if he was in Miami right now? Now, I'd probably be still missing the deep throws, because how can he not hit the deep throw? A part of me wants to be like, Jimmy, dude, what happened on that throw to McCaffrey? Can you explain to me how you can't hit that? The one that damn, man. It's a layup. How can you not throw that? It's not a question of arm strength either. It's like, I don't understand. But I don't really know how to phrase the question.
Jimmy puts everything he can, and whenever he goes deep at all, he puts everything into it that he can, and that's why you get these overthrows. He's like, I gotta put everything into it, and it's always it's overthrown, which is weird because he doesn't necessarily have a strong arm. Where you see guys like Aaron Rodgers, and not that Aaron Rodgers is having a good season, but it's just like it's just a nice, easy catch. That's an easy throw for Aaron Rodgers. Normally.
Remember 2 years ago when Nick Mullins missed Juszczyk on the second pass of the game against Philly, week 4, and everyone was like, oh my God, Nick, you're dead to me. That was a layup. Yeah. Jimmy does that too, man. It's funny. The Niners can't get anyone who can hit a deep ball. Maybe Kyle puts too much pressure on him. I don't know what it is, but.
Well, I think a part of it may be just they don't do it enough to where it's like it's abnormal. Like, oh my God, I got to throw a deep pass. Like, it's a rare thing. It's like having
the basketball team that the coach is like, I don't want you guys to ever shoot threes. I want you guys to work the ball into the post. And then it's like, actually, we need this 3 right now. It's like, but coach, none of us do that.
Yeah.
We never do this. And you get mad at me when I try. But here I go with no confidence.